Hello everybody, this is the Lego Batman movie Killer Croc Tail Gator set, and this has some interesting things going on with it. So let me get actually one of the smaller, less significant things out of the way first. Real quick, this is the Bat Ski, which now that I say it kind of sounds like a Polish knockoff of Batman, but it's the Bat Jet Ski or water scooter. And it's leaning on its side not for dramatic effect to look cooler. It's leaning on its side because it has to. It won't stand up straight. It falls over to the other side. It's a cool looking thing though. Unfortunately, it doesn't actually float in water. I like what they've done with the stud shooters very much. They stick out horizontally to the sides. The kind of wing elements in the back look pretty cool. That's a sticker used for a console underneath there. You know, Batman is just standing up. He also has a little bit of, it's kind of hidden by the cape right now, but storage for a single Batarang back there. Use a number of stickers for detail around this, and I really like the look of it from the back, although I wish it could really stand up. But that is just the perfect piece they used there, that ratcheting joint piece. It perfectly looks like the exit of a water jet. So small, but nicely done. Now check out this Killer Croc. Usually I save minifigures for later in the video, but this is no minifigure. This is a big fig, and it's a very, very unique one. This is the old crocodile or alligator headpiece. I don't know if they've actually updated the mold a little bit, but it looks like the old one to me. Very, very classic design for that upper head. And it does hinge in addition to the entire head being able to move up and down. So basically, I'm not a Killer Croc historian or DC Comics historian or anything, but I looked it up on the internets, and it looks like this is basically inspired by the Red Hood and the Outlaws interpretation of Killer Croc, where he's more crocodile-like. He's got the full tail and has the full crocodile head. These arms move up and down. They're actually on ratcheted joints here. It's not smooth. This is not a separate piece going around for the cuffs. That is a paint application in the nice light bright silver. Goes all the way around, full 360 degrees. I want to see more printing like that, as does the belt here. You know, the paint applications are done pretty nicely on this whole thing. And there is wrist articulation, which is nothing new, but it also has these new fingers. And the fingers independently articulate, at least the two center ones do. You put on the small little barb pieces in dark tan yourself, and it's something very different. So many of the big figs look so similar to each other. This one really stands out, but it does still suffer from no articulation down below. Look at that. More good multi-dimensional paint application down all the way to the feet, but you can't rotate this at the waist, and you can't do anything with the legs whatsoever. Of course, these chains are supposed to represent broken chains, but if you want to, you can connect them together. And this is why I wanted to show you Killer Croc himself first before putting him into context on the back of his truck. So he has done modifications to this truck since he himself is too large to fit into the cab. He has extended the steering column out the back window, and I'll show you the details a little bit more closely, but the steering wheel is back here. My finger is on it. The gear shift lever is really tall. It's all the way back here, and then he just stands in the bed of the truck. The truck has a ton of stickers all over it to represent wear and various signs. It's got a mismatched fender over here in dark azure. There's another sign over here, some tools, and it has a couple of action features, sort of. One of them is sort of working suspension in the back. You can push down and there's just a little bit of range of motion. It uses these rubber bands underneath, and there are two pairs of those to provide enough stiffness, and it actually feels a little bit soft, which is good. I like when suspension is not too stiff, so this will actually work if you run it over some rough terrain. But it's just a solid axle in the back. However, it does not have any kind of approximation of center drive shaft or anything. The other action features are activated by turning either of these textured round bricks, and those will just knock off these crates on the side. So like that. Just knocks it into the path of any pursuer. And this particular one has a bundle of dynamite or a TNT in it. The one on the other side, just to show you how the action feature is not actually that great, to be honest. You know, your fingers are already back here. You could just knock this off. It's just pushing out from there just a little bit. But this one has another sign on it, and then there are just some frogs that have been climbing around on it. There's also a little bit of foliage or some moss that's growing down. There's actually a pretty nice amount of detail around the whole body of the truck, between actually built up parts and stickers and some printed pieces. You cannot open those doors, and there's really not much space to use inside of the cab because of the extended steering column that sticks through there. I like what they've done on the front with the combination of parts and stickers. I think that just balances out nicely, especially with the very important steer skull. You know, that's actually attached to the front of the engine, but the placement, I think, ends up working pretty nicely. This whole truck has a number of mismatched body panels, so there's some brown on the other side that represents rusting. Here's some random dark azure, and there's more rusting over on the side here as well. Closer look at that sign, a random tool, pickaxe, a random bone just sitting there. And then for the cab for Killer Croc himself, also known as the bed of the truck, here's the steering wheel I was mentioning that he can't really reach realistically, but it's on a ball joint inside of there. It can move around, as is the gear shift lever, which can move around quite a bit. And this is a nice printed Technic ball piece. Hopefully at some point they'll give us a full set of billiard balls in that scale. You know, it's not minifig scale, but it is a scale, and I think it looks pretty nice. It would be great to get more of those. Here are the three actual minifigures in the set: Batman, Zebra Man, and Tarantula. Zebra Man and Tarantula each get some arm prints going on. Zebra Man obviously is not going to get an alternate face because of the type of hairpiece used that lets you see the back of the head when it's applied, so they're not going to change that out. But let me show you what you can see here regardless. Now, if you just go through looking at reviews like this, and you just look at review after review after review, or if you're someone who collects all the sets, you may get tired of seeing Batman in almost all of these Lego Batman movie sets. However, they don't do that just to be able to put out more small variations of head from one to the next to force people to buy more. They do that because the primary consumers of Lego sets, young kids, usually can't get all the sets. So they don't want you to be forced to buy something that you might not want just to get a Batman. If you really want a Batman, they want you to have a Batman. And you know, they'll change them up so that if you do get multiple sets, you can at least get different faces, but they want to put Batman in as many sets as possible so that a kid who only can get one set, or maybe two, is assured of picking up the main hero. This bat ski I think I like more than I let on. It's a pretty nice build for something so small, and notice it's standing up straight now. It's not leaning over to the side. It's a very simple fix. Just take off the two inverted round tiles from the underside. I also like how many realistic details and shapes that they've included on this truck, at least from here up. However, from that same line down, I personally feel like it looks pretty awful with these exposed Technic pieces and the different colors of them. Even up at the front where you get some coverage at least, but still what is shown does not look good. The axles look super plain from any angle where you can actually see them. So that just doesn't look good to me, and all for just a little bit of suspension action. I would have preferred something built up a little bit more nicely and just a little bit lower to the ground. And then there's the price, and in the beginning of the video, as always, whenever possible, I showed you the price in the UK and the US, as well as the price to part ratio. And that price to part ratio is rough to look at. However, it's not entirely fair to look at the price to part ratio when this has a big fig and it has some fairly large parts in it, especially the big fig, which just has way more value for its number of pieces than the numbers themselves suggest. You know, this is all one part here, which has a lot more value than one of the studs that's being shot from the Bat Skis stud shooter. So I feel like this is not quite as overpriced as it looks, but it does still feel like a lot for what you pay compared to the volume of stuff that you get. It's a big box, but the volume of actual playable stuff isn't quite that great. I do feel it's important to realize and recognize that this is a Lego Batman movie set, so it's supposed to be very silly, and I think they captured that silliness pretty well with the scale and everything. But they do have some nice level of detail in these Lego Batman movie sets in general, and the top half of this truck definitely followed along with that good trend, just the bottom half of it didn't. So mixed feelings from me, but in general this is one of my least favorite of the sets from this line so far. Let me know what you think of it, what you think of the truck, what you think of the big fig of Killer Croc, and what you think of the selection of minifigs. I look forward to your comments, and if you want to hear more of my comments, be sure to check back on my channel on a regular basis, because more content is always on the way. Talk to you again soon.